Hi everyone! Today we're going to be discussing Crafty Extensions and BookBuilder and Science Writer by CAST, RazzKids, EMaze, and the BookWizard. So we're going to start with Katie.
Hi guys, let me just share my screen really quick. Okay. Oops. Sorry about that. And I think we're on the wrong page. All right, hold on. Uh, there we go. Sorry about that. I figured it out. All right, so we're going to start with Crafty Extensions. This was the most simple tool I had this week. You don't have to make an account, and it's very straightforward and easy to use. So what this is this is a website. If you go to the About It, tells you very briefly, it's a labor of love by Crafty. I dedicated it to the teachers that work so hard every day to impact the lives of children. That's all it says. So it's a very simple website. So if you get on here, it gives you 4 extensions for Google Chrome. The first is Crafty Level. It tells you the Flesch Kincaid reading level of any web page. Then we have Crafty Writes, which is a tool to use with image search to leave only copywritten pictures. Craft Text is next. Crafty Text, I'm sorry, and this highlights text, makes it bigger. That you want, and I'll show you all of these as well. And then Crafty Cursor is a highlighted cursor. We're going to go to this page. This is Magic Keys Books for Kids. It's got a ton of online little storybooks for kids. So I just happened to pick on the little gingerbread man. We're going to use this to look at 3 of the 4 tools. So the first one was Crafty Levels. This was the one that showed you the Flesch Kincaid reading level. So you can highlight as much text as you want for this. Unfortunately, this book has multiple pages. But to get an idea of what the reading level is, so I highlighted 3 paragraphs. And you just come up here and click on the CL, and all of your extensions will be up here next to your URL bar on Google Chrome. So you click on CL, and it tells you right away that the Flesch Kincaid reading level is an 8.6. So this is probably going to be very difficult for younger children to read by themselves. You got words like disappear, and vanished and naughty. These are harder vocabulary. So if you go to Crafty Text, this little box pops up. You can type anything you want in the box. So maybe if you wanted to talk about what was gingerbread, it gives you 2 options: adapt text size and show suggestions. I would turn off adapt text size. It makes it bigger if you have it on, and it tends to not leave it on one line. So you turn that off, and then once you're done typing, you hit enter. And as you can see, it made the word gingerbread very large on the screen. This would be good for singling out specific vocabulary words, as well as if you have a code for anything that you're using technology in the classroom, like a Kahoot code or anything like that, you could make that big on your screen so students have an easier time seeing it. And then to get out of that, you just hit the CT button again. It goes away. And the last one was Crafty Cursor. This is good for things when you're doing like screen shares or screencasts, anything like that, or anything you want to draw attention to. It just gives you a yellow circle for your cursor. Makes it easier to see anytime you're pointing out anything, and it also kind of just like highlights for you. The last one is Crafty Writes, the one that finds the non-copywritten images. So if I went to Google and did the Google search gingerbread man, so if we go to images, these are all the images that come up. If we do the same search again with Crafty Writes enabled, oops, we get fewer pictures, but these are most likely not copywritten. It's her website said it might not be 100%, but she's pretty confident with it. So just use your best judgment and double check, of course, but it's pretty reliable. So that is Crafty Extensions. As I said, it's a very straightforward website. It's only 4 extensions for Google Chrome, but they're very useful in the elementary classroom using technology.
I can see this being used as you present a story to the students on your board, and you can highlight vocabulary words for them to copy down as we are reading a story that we're using online. I really think that that's a helpful tool for students to really focus in on a vocabulary word. And like you said, you can type it in at the same time, so you can highlight it, and then you can type it in at the same time and then give them a definition right there, right on the same page. I think that's great.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, and if students are creating like their own project, they can use that, and they can have images that they know that are safe to use, and definitely can teach about copyright laws and all sorts of things with that.
Yeah, I thought the two that would be best for students working on their own is Crafty Writes, which is the copyright one, as well as the reading level one, because if you teach students how to use it, they can then go on these web pages and find out the reading level and not sit there and be frustrated. If it's too hard, they just go on to another one.
Exactly.
So I thought that was good.
So I'm going to take over. I'm going to share my screen. And we're going to go to the UDL Bookbuilder by CAST. And this is I'm going to tell you first about how I'm going to use this in the classroom. I would use this website for ELLs or young students listening and viewing books online. So I can create a book and add audio and do whatever I would like on this website. So you can read books here that teachers and everyone has already created, and then you can create. So we're going to click on Create and Share. So shared books. So you see here that this is the first setup page. The content area, the genre, the book language, everything is right here. I'm going to go back for a second and create my own book. So that same window is right here. The genre, the book language, the grade level. So I am interested in teaching kindergarten, so I'm going to click kindergarten. And I have started a book called The Food Chain based on the script that I created in class. And I only have one page, but you can click on these books and create these books. It goes through a whole section of giving you a title page, content page, and a coach to. I'm going to click edit here, and you'll be able to see. So I labeled it the food chain, and I haven't entered in any content, but you can see here that I can tell these coaches what I want them to say. So I can click on this coach, and I want him to be able to define some vocabulary words in my book. And then I have another coach here that can elaborate on an idea. And then there's another coach here that can do something else or be funny. These animated coaches pop up on your book, and tell you exactly what you need to know. So I'm going to go back and to our home page, and that's where we read books. So public library books. I'm going to show you exactly how I found this out. So we have, let's just go to Bud Not Buddy, chapter 12. I'm going to click read. So we can include pictures, we can include text, and we can include audio. I'm going to play this. So you can see as the audio plays that I can add any audio that I want. So I can tell the students that I have adapted this story, or I have created this story. I can add images and whatever audio I would like. So this ties into ELL and younger students, kindergarten students who are establishing their reading skills, to be able to listen to a story. Obviously, Bud Not Buddy is a higher level book, but you can adapt these books and take pictures of the illustrations, and add them to this book builder, and let your students really listen to the story in a voice that they recognize. And in your teacher, they can see this and hear this book from someone that they know. So I think that's so very valuable.
I really like this tool in particular. You're talking about using it with ELLs and kindergarten, but I'm actually 6th grade, and we do a lot of, when we read novels, we break up into small groups based on ability level, and
Yes.
a lot of times I find that we're reading the whole novel out loud to these lower groups, because our higher groups might be on a high school level, mediums like where they should be on a 6th grade, but sometimes our lower groups are on a 1st grade level. But they have the comprehension of a 6th grader, but they just can't read the words or whatever it may be. So I think this would be great. Instead of reading this novel to every single class, putting in these pictures and coaches to aid in that comprehension, and letting them do it themselves in the small group on an iPad or laptops or whatever, which we do have access to. I think that would be great, because the teachers in the classroom are spending, usually it's 2, sometimes it's only 1, and you're spending all your time teaching this one group of low students when they're 6th graders, and they could do it for themselves as long as they have the help. So I think that would be really beneficial for us.
That is very beneficial. That's a great point.
Yeah, I love how we can add coaches, because it's guided reading without having to sit down with the student. They can work independently but still have you kind of there, helping them with the, pre-made coaches comments. So I think that was a really good feature to that.
You're exactly right. It's you there with your words that you can provide for the students in an animated. I didn't show you, but they pop up and they do little actions. Each coach does a different action, and they'll pay attention to that. It'll pop up on the screen, and they'll enjoy it much more than me saying, this is what this means, and this is what the definition is. They're going to be more engaged with an animated coach with an action than me telling, oh, this is what this word means. They're not going to pay attention to me as much as they're going to pay attention to an animated feature on the screen.
Right.
Right. Okay, well, I'm going to talk about RazzKids, so I'm going to share my screen. And RazzKids is awesome. We used it when I had my high school internship in a kindergarten classroom, and it was really beneficial. So basically, it gives students online books to read, and it keeps track of their progress. So teachers can make an account, and it does cost money, but the teachers would make an account, and the kids would be able to log in and each have their own little account and like little classroom. There's leveled reading, so it has, you know, the A, B, C, D levels, and students are able to pick the level that they are comfortable with, or they can, you know, start at A if they're in kindergarten and, you know, move up through the levels once they're ready. So there are a few free samples. And as you can see, there are a few options here. So this is, you can see the different levels, A, F, K, W, and it lets you either listen to it, read it yourself, and there's worksheets and quizzes available also. So when kids would log in, I've seen this before in high school, and kids would log in and they would pick their name, and basically they would go through, and if they finish the book and pass the quiz, and they move on to the next level. And it allowed the teacher to keep track of everyone's progress. So here you can see teachers can choose between leveled books, alphabet books, decodable books, and they can choose, you know, vocabulary books and really decide on what they're going for in the lesson and pick a book based on that. And there's also assessments, so you know, there's benchmark, you know, books and all sorts of assessments available. So let me go here. And even if teachers don't want to, you know, make their own account and pay every month, they can start the free trial and see what they get out of that before they decide. So it really lets students interact with the book that they're reading, and it gives them any kind of guidance that they might need. If they want to hear the word, they can hear it. Give them headphones. It's a great center activity. You know, if everyone's working in centers, one student can come to the computer and work on their RazzKid account, and it's, you know, great guided reading.
I think that this would be a very important tool to use during like reading circles. So you can incorporate this website into reading circles where they talk to each other, and it's an important feature where they communicate with each other and interact with their peers while reading the book. But then you can check in with them with each section that they read. So like you said that we could check their progress. So we can log in and see how they're doing with the book and how they're comprehending with each section that they read within their reading circles without being abrasive or really just singling out a group and telling them to tell us what's happening. I think that's a really great way to see how the reading circles are doing.
Right, and in the classroom that we used this in, the kids didn't even know that they were doing work. Like this is what they would fight for, to do for fun. You know, this was a privilege, and they loved it.
That's great. I also think just that this website is so good, just for the fact that you can't always have a class set of every book, but to have websites like this where you can get books online is so beneficial because, you know, like I said, you can't get a class set of every book, but you can put all your kids on a laptop and have them all read a book independently or in small groups, or, you know, put it on the smart board or whatever. So I think that's just super beneficial in itself.
Exactly.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Okay. So my next tool is BookWizard. This is a Scholastic tool. It's on scholastic.com. So when you go to BookWizard, the first thing that pops up is A to Z reading level. So down here, you have 4 choices. You can search by grade level, guided reading level, DRA, or Lexile level. So you click on whatever one you want. Let's say I want to do Lexile. So say I want it between a 230 and a 250 Lexile. So you click Find, and it takes you to a page where it has all of these books that fall into this Lexile level. You can also look under themes and subject, or you can type in a keyword, title, author, anything like that. So let's say we wanted science books at this Lexile level. So the first one that comes up is the carrot seed. So we click on it, and it tells us a little bit about the book. It tells us the grades the book would be good for, pre-K to 3. Tells us it's about a 2.2 grade level, so fairly close to the beginning of 2nd grade. Tells us the Lexile level is a 230, DR is a 12, and guided readings a G. So this gives us every single measurement that we would need to decide what ability level this fits for our students. So this is great for guided reading. I mean, you can actually read the books on this website, but this is for books you already have. Books in the library, if you teach kids to use this, they can find out if the Lexile for the book they're trying to check out is appropriate for them. And this, again, kind of prevents that frustration that comes with reading a book that's too hard for you, or the boredom of reading a book that's too easy for you. And as a teacher, it lets you pick the ones that are appropriate for your students. So that's basically all BookWizard does. However, the Scholastic website itself is it's full of all sorts of great tools. So I just wanted to point out a few while we were on it. If you go to resources and tools, the first thing I thought was super beneficial was Common Core. So when you click on that, it gives you all stuff about teaching nonfiction, which can be really difficult, lesson plans, answers about questions teachers had, and news and resources about the Common Core, basics, expert videos, just stuff to help teachers in teaching what they need to teach, really. Another one I thought was excellent, this is the last one I'll do since this isn't actually BookWizard, but I just thought these were so beneficial. Resources and tools again. Oops, I'm sorry. So there's everything you need for ... This is like whole units. Lesson plans, videos, media, books. But I liked the daily starters. It gives you one for 4 subjects. So you got teachable moment, fun fact, math, language. Sometimes you got science and social studies and whatever, but you can go pre-K, K, 1, 2, 3, 5, and 6, 8. And there's 4 each day. So this would be just an excellent way to start your class. I mean, if it's a fun way to go into whatever topic you're talking about that day. So I just thought that was worth noting. Again, it's not BookBuilder per se, but BookWizard per se, but it is on the same website. And the BookWizard is under Books and Authors on the Scholastic page.
I think that BookWizard is a very good resource for teachers. I mean, you said that is a great resource to understand which books your students should read, but I think it's also a really valuable tool when placing students in reading groups. So like you can establish what if a student is struggling and you know that they are, you can, and you know what level of reading that they are at, you can understand which book that they will understand and they will comprehend and give that group. Obviously, I'm not going to place all of the students in the same reading level in one group, but like you said, you can understand that range of what students will understand or be bored with. So you can find a book that can have that happy medium with a really good group of people.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody who's struggling and somebody who's succeeding, and have that cohesive group of for a book that you're going to discuss in class. I think
Right.
that's
Yeah,
great.
definitely.
Yeah, and I loved how, first year or second year teachers can go and look at the unit plans and they can obviously like tweak what they want or change what they want, but it gives them a good, base for inspiration of what they want to do with their lesson.
That's definitely true. I didn't actually talk about it, but there's a whole section just devoted to new teachers on this website. Just anytime you're teaching something new, you don't necessarily want to use all of somebody else's ideas, but to have those ideas makes your lesson so much more comprehensive than it could have been without it.
Exactly. I mean, we're not going to use an exact plan for our students because they're all going to be different. So you can take a plan and adjust it and use this site to help you adjust it.
Right.
You don't have to do it by yourself.
Right.
You can take a plan and then go to this site. Okay, so how do I adjust this plan using something that my students are going to be able to comprehend?
Right. Mm-hmm.
That's great. So I'm going to take over and share my screen. And go to, not this one, I'm sorry. This one. So I have CAST Science Writer. So I have established already a science writer for you guys to view, balloon rockets. So this site is really for establishing a science experiment. So you go through the whole steps, like the question, the hypothesis, the procedure, the conclusion, every step of the science experience. So I'm sorry. It is telling me to sign back in.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. Let me just bring that back up. So here we have, I established a science writer for balloon rockets. So I have already established this plan, and I didn't place in the results or the conclusion, but this site is for science, doing science, really participating in it. So this site can be for students or for teachers to establish it. So we're going to go back to our home page.
Can you share your screen, Emma?
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought I did. You got it? All right. So, like I said, I established a balloon rockets experiment, as you can see here. But you can completely start from scratch. So we're going to go to Project Home and start a new project. This is how you set it up. So let's say that we're talking about the water cycle. And then we can do our research questions. This is a great way to tell your students about research question versus hypothesis. You can decide between each section. So I'm going to go with introductions, procedures, conclusion, conclusion, and then I'm going to go to next. So this, like I said, it can be for students or for teachers. I have my hypothesis page here. So I can write a hypothesis about any subject that we are discussing in science. And and then it goes to a revising page and an editing page. And as you can see here, it gives you a coach. CAST gives you these coaches throughout your steps in establishing everything. So is every word spelled correctly? Check. I can go down this list as a student and know confidently that I know what I'm doing in my experiment. Or I can go through as a teacher and then establish an experiment with the procedures and have the children fill out the rest of the experiment. So we're going to move on here and click next. It's so easy to use. This can also be used with students who have a hard time with handwriting.
Mm-hmm.
They can they don't have to worry about their handwriting. They can type it in. They know exactly what they're saying, and so do I. So this website, this tool can be so helpful. And you can go to help. They'll explain exactly what you need to do. I told you that if you have coaches right here, Eco's hint, what do they talk about? So right here, this is a feature that I love, is an animated, and he tells you exactly. So we would have already gone over a hypothesis in science class, but if they need a refresher, they can click on these hints, and this takes you through every step. I can go to procedures, and there's a draft, revise, and edit feature in every step, and there is a help feature with an Eco's hint at every step of the way. So I love this. As a teacher, I can establish a experiment and let them fill it in, or they can create their own experiment and do it with lots of help without me wasting time on redoing everything that we have established. They can just click on Eco's hint and they can revisit everything that we have already learned. So I think this site as a whole saves time. I just think this is just great.
I think this is an awesome website. Not only just for science, which it's clearly, for and awesome for, but as a English minor and somebody who's in the 6th grade, I think this is excellent just for the fact that it includes the writing process. It's not the whole writing process, but the draft, revise, edit. It's in a authentic situation. You're being a scientist. You're revising and editing your findings so that people can read them, and it's not just handing them a worksheet and saying do the writing process, but you're doing the writing process. I think that's awesome.
Okay, so I'm going to talk about EMaze presentations next. So let me just share my screen. Okay, so EMaze, basically, it's a great way to create presentations online. So I'm going to create a new presentation, and you can choose all sorts of different templates. It gives you examples that you can just tweak and change. I'm going to choose a blank one, and I can choose a background, which I'm going to go with black. Okay, so this is the first slide, and you can create new sections. So this is my first section. You can add text, a title, a subtitle, and then of course just like regular text to add information. There are ways to add other sorts of media images, so you can upload from your computer, or you could even search on the web anything that you want to look up. So you could, if a student is doing a presentation on dogs, they can just go to the web and search dogs, or they can save a picture and upload it. You can upload media, so you can copy and paste a website URL or embed a YouTube video. You can add MP3s, locations. Really, there's a lot of different ways to get creative with that. Or you can, add a video or an audio file and browse your computer and insert that. There are different shapes. So if I want to decorate this with, stars, I can manipulate the size of it, all sorts of things. And one of my favorite things about this is how easy it is to make charts. So this is where you would enter data and you can import a spreadsheet. So if you already have a spreadsheet made, then you can just copy and paste the data table from the spreadsheet and it'll just make it right for you. But if you want to enter it in manually again, then this is what you would use for that. And you can choose which type of chart you want it to be. So if I want, a pie chart, then I would choose that, or a line chart, which I think this is an excellent resource to use for teaching statistics or any kind of math, graphing. It's a great way for that. Students can really play around with that. And when you're done making your presentation, you can save it to your computer, you can download it, or you can share it. So let me go back here. And when you share it, basically anyone can see it. And I love that because you can go around, you can look at other people's presentations, and if you find one that might be useful for your classroom, then you can, look at that. So I really liked this because students can use it to create their own presentations, or teachers could use it to teach a lesson.
Oh, sorry, Emma.
That's okay.
Oh, go ahead.
Go for it.
Okay, I really just like it because simple fact that not everybody has PowerPoint, and we need to teach kids to use the resources that they do have. This can be used on any computer, and it doesn't rely on PowerPoint. So that's just the basic reason I like it.
I think it's a very good resource for teachers. We've been taught to use spreadsheets to our advantage, utilizing the children's strengths and weaknesses. So if I use this website and I can import a spreadsheet that I already have, I can present it to my principal. I can present it to anybody that needs to see it. Even not using it in the classroom, just as a resource as a teacher, it would be a very professional way to present something to someone who needs to see it. Mm-hmm. I think that's a great resource because, like Katie said, that PowerPoint, yes, but we also have this resource to present information, but I can have this as a professional way to give my spreadsheets that only I understand and present in a way that other people can understand.
I didn't even think about that, but you're right. It's a great way if you're trying to get a new sort of technology in your classroom to present it to the principal to get the money to get grants.
Yeah, exactly. Or just like presenting how my students are doing as a whole leading up to a test or a standardized test, everything that they need to know, how well that we are teaching. It's a wonderful way to present it in a professional manner.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so for our last tool of the session, I did a tool called Video Ant. This is on the University of Minnesota website. So this is what your sign-in page looks like. You can sign in with the University of Minnesota, sign in if you have one. I chose to sign in through Facebook. So once you sign in, it has, well, so you can either see all mine or shared with me. So this is a website used to annotate videos. And the annotate, they shorten to Ant, which is why it's called Ant. Your page right here is called your Ant Farm. So all your videos show up in your Ant Farm. So as an example, I used the food chain video that Dr. Sessoms had created. So when it's yours, you get these options: add or view annotations. So we'll view it. I only included one just as an example. But so start it from the beginning. It plays, and when it hits the annotation, it gets big and highlighted, your annotation on the side here. So the good thing about this is you annotate it as the teacher or the creator, whoever is making it, and your viewers can respond. It's a great teaching tool in maybe like a flipped classroom or even independent work within the classroom. You're getting real-time responses from your students, and they can pause it and respond and then go back to the video. So, I mean, you could add annotations all throughout this video. So we'll go back here to our ant farm. Another option you have down here is manage duplicates. You could make a duplicate with or without the annotation. So if you're using this for multiple classes, you can save your first copy with the annotations, make a new one, and have your next class do the same thing all over again without the responses that were already saved. Lastly, you go to settings, title and description. That's very straightforward, but you can also embed, it gives you an embed code. You could put this right onto a website or a web page. These are just your codes. The only one I thought was beneficial to the average person was this text one. When you click on it, it gives you the whole transcript of every piece of text that's been put on the video. It tells you the time and then what you said, and then all of the comments and who they're by. So as a teacher, I think that would be beneficial if you're doing some sort of graded work or participation or anything that may be. Lastly, share. It gives you a website URL. You can also make it public or private, and you can add users to each ant. So again, fairly straightforward, but I think it's a great tool, especially if you're doing classrooms where you do have the technology and you want the students to have a say and not just passively watch a video.
I have a question. Can you compare, like you said, you could save what people annotated. Can you bring up a screen if there's multiple classes annotating your video? Can you compare those screens without revealing a student's identity? Is that, do you know?
So I think I understand what you're asking me. When you respond, it does come up with your name. I'm not sure that would be
Okay.
a possible. I think this would be probably you would want to use this in a classroom where you already reached kind of a community.
Okay.
Where students aren't afraid to have their name on something. Otherwise, if you use it outside of the classroom itself, it's a little bit more anonymous. I mean, it still has your name on it, but you're not physically saying.
I mean, you could assign the students a certain number, and they would enter their number. And what I would take from this is that students, after they've annotated this video, you could bring up all of your classes' versions of their annotations and compare.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's a great like tool to use and say, you think this way, but my other class thinks this way.
Right. Which I really like that text feature because it just kind of lays it all out for you without having to go through the video again.
Right. I think that's great.
Okay. So that's all that we have for today. So I guess we'll end this hangout.
Thanks for watching.